Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. You join me on a bit of a white and wintry morning here in the Midlands. Firstly, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel after the last couple of videos. Really appreciate your support and I'm looking forward to bringing you along on this journey. So what we're up to today, we're out here on the road obviously. I'm on my road bike. Usually this would be perfect conditions for a gravel bike, but unfortunately I do not have one at the moment. I'm currently in talks with a couple of brands about their support in 2025 with a gravel and a road bike, so hopefully I can bring you some news on that soon. But yeah, we're out on the road. This is nothing unusual for me because if you know me, I like to avoid the indoor trainer as much as possible. If you're like me and you like heading out in these questionable conditions, there's a little bit of fun. You do have to stick by some guidelines, which I'm going to share with you later in the video. So I'll be sharing some of my top tips and tricks for riding in conditions like this, how to adjust your bike, how to adjust your clothing and everything else that goes with it. I'd love to have you along for the ride, so let's go. So getting into my first top tip, and arguably one of the most important ones, you want to try and stick to the slightly bigger roads. I'm not talking the M6, smaller A roads, maybe the bigger B roads, and usually tend to be gritted. Yeah, as you can see, exactly what I'm doing right now, being gritted. There's a little bit more traffic, which is obviously not that pleasant, but usually I find on days like this, there isn't actually that much traffic anyway. So yeah, sticking to these bigger roads, you've got a better chance of the road being gritted and less risk of coming across any black ice or anything like that. So just to give you a visual representation of that, that is the A road that I've just come off, and then behind me here there's a little B road, a little country lane that I'd usually take to stay away from the traffic, but as you can see, the build-up of snow and ice is so much more, and especially here on the junction as well. So yeah, good to stay away from them on days like today. But leading on from my point of riding on the bigger A roads is another super important point. Something that's non-negotiable for me in the winter time is riding with lights. So always have a light fitted on the rear, especially of your bike, and the front as well if you can. I've got exposure lights. I run them night and day, and that's a really good additional safety feature to try and keep you seen and safe out on the roads. And if you're after a new set of lights or maybe an upgrade, then you might want to check out the description. There might just be a discount code for you there. So what's on the riding plan today? As most of you probably know, if you work a 9 to 5, it's very difficult to get any longer or endurance rides done during the week. For me, I like to go out for a couple of hours in the morning or the evening when I need to, but usually my endurance rides have to wait until the weekend. Ideally, I'd like to get 2.5 to 3 hours done today, but we'll see how we get on, see how the road conditions are, play it by ear, and yeah, make the most of the glorious outdoors. Another one of my tips is to let a bit of pressure out your tyres. Maybe run about 10 psi lower than you usually would in dry conditions. Fortunately, I've got the support of Pirelli with these P0 TLR 4Ss. These are designed for colder and wet conditions, so I've got that on my side today, which I'm very grateful for. Obviously, if you hit some ice, it's not going to make a difference, but whatever you do, do not touch the brakes. I've learned that in the past. You've just got to ride it out. But it is helpful for if you're going across those chunky bits of snow in the middle of the road or something like that. It gives you a little bit of a comfier ride throughout the day. So yeah, that's a good one to keep in mind. He looks like a locked-in sheep. Something you'd only see on the Isle of Man. Anyway, getting distracted. So on to the final couple of tips for today's ride. I don't want to make it sound like I'm teaching you how to suck eggs, but we all know the importance of clothing on days like today. The Wahoo's telling me it's -2 out here, so it literally is freezing cold. So going into a little bit of detail of the crucial things to focus on when riding on days like today. Obviously you want to keep your extremities warm, so gloves and overshoes. Got my spats, they always keep me nice and warm, which I'm really grateful for. And then head, got my aero helmet for that extra layer of warmth, as well as a winter cap. Keeping those extremities warm is really important because that's the first place you're going to start losing core temperature from. Obviously your chest as well, you want to keep that nice and warm. So I've got 3 layers on today. I've got base layer, long sleeve jersey, and then this. And not only that, I've got a rain jacket in my back pocket as well. So while I got the camera out, I might as well get on to my final point of the day, which is if you're heading out on the bike, leave it until a little bit later in the day. Give the roads a chance to thaw out and a little bit of the snow to melt. Let the cars spread that salt about so the ice and snow is spread a little bit more across the surface, and potentially give the ice a little bit of time to thaw out. So that's pretty much all of my tips and tricks covered for today on riding in wintry conditions. But another little point to add is just err on the side of caution, use a bit of common sense, don't go flying into corners, stuff like that, and just be safe out there. So we're about 2 hours in now, not getting on too badly. The thawing out process has been helped by a bit of rain in the air now. I probably won't do too much more because it's absolutely Baltic. And after the festive 500 last week, I don't think there's any point in me freezing my off just for an extra couple of K and risking some illness. So I'm going to crack on and I'll catch up with you when I get back home in the nice warmth. So back home, warm and dry now, after rinsing all my wet kit out, having a shower and some lunch, grabbed a coffee and we're already going to get started on editing this video. But as I just alluded to, I ended up cracking on for a little bit longer than I planned. My camera froze, so I donned the rain jacket, pressed on a little bit and I actually warmed up, so just committed and got that 3 hours done in the end, which I'm pretty happy about. Most importantly though, it stayed safe out there, using some of those tips and tricks that I've just shared with you guys along the way. So maybe it wasn't such a stupid idea after all. Hopefully they can be helpful to you too at some point along the way, as I'm sure it's not the last we've seen of these icy conditions this winter. But if you do think I've missed anything, then drop them in the comments. Obviously the more sensible options would be to probably ride the turbo or off-road, either that or booking a flight to Spain. So that's everything covered for this video. If you did enjoy it, then drop it a thumbs up. And if you want to stay tuned for more madness in the future, then subscribe to the channel. So thank you guys for watching and I will see you in the next video.